Hi everyone, welcome to this practice. My name is Gayle, and today we're going to be focusing on tree pose and dancing in and out of tree pose, which is going to require some strength, stability, mobility, good proprioception with how we're moving in space, and just the idea of dancing and being fun and finding movement. So we're going to need something like this. It's called a Corgis ball, but these balls can be found in a lot of places. It's an inflatable, about a 6 to 7 inch diameter ball. Or you could use a yoga block, or you could roll up like a big towel or something. We just want something to be able to squeeze into. So let's get started by closing our eyes. Just letting your sit bones settle into the earth. And do those little micro adjustments, so maybe you're leaning a little bit to one side or the other, and see if you can find a sense of balance. Let the breath become long and full so that you feel right around your diaphragm, the low ribs expand with every inhale and contract and release with every exhale. So the breath is more distributed evenly through your whole torso rather than like pulling the breath up into your throat or neck. You want to be able to stay nice and relaxed as you breathe. Just let things slow down and begin to draw your attention from your outer world to your inner world. And just begin to move your spine back and forth, letting your back round as you pull back, and letting your back arch a little bit as you pull forward. You can keep your eyes closed or you can open them. You just want to feel the spine moving. Get a sense of all these different vertebrae that are in our spine. We have 29 vertebrae. So that's a lot of potential for movement. Okay, now grab your Corgis ball or your ball or a block or like a folded up blanket. You could fold something up like this so you could squeeze it between your legs. And we're going to lie on our backs. And first, just let your back settle. Notice if your low back has a little space off the floor or a big space. And see if you can tuck your tailbone, create a posterior tilt, tailbone reaching towards your heels so your low back can flatten with your knees up in the air. Let your shoulders relax down into the earth. And then just tilt your pelvis forward and back. So these front hip bones, they go forward towards your feet and that creates an arch in your back, or they pull back toward your shoulders and it flattens your back. So just get a sense of that movement that's available to you. And take your ball or your block or your blanket and place it between your legs, just above your knees. Flatten your back to the floor and squeeze the ball in. So you feel your adductors, your inner thigh muscles engage. Keep squeezing the ball in and start to float your hips up, coming into an easy bridge pose. But keep your legs hugging in and your feet pressing down so you're activating your muscles. And then slowly stretch your sit bones away from your shoulders as you lower down. And just repeat that several times, keeping your legs engaged so you feel the muscles working. But you can still keep your face and neck relaxed. You want to get a sense of those adductor muscles firing up, getting turned on. We'll just go up and down a couple more times. Just take your time. It's more about feeling the sensations rather than rushing. Good. And then remove the ball or the blanket or the block, but keep it handy. And then bring your legs up in the air, and we're going to do that squeezing in again, but it's a little more core work. So you're going to squeeze the ball between your feet and then start to lower your arms back and your feet away from your arms. And then as you lift up, lift your shoulders up off the floor, squeeze the block, and transfer the ball or the block from your feet to your hands, and slowly stretch your arms and legs away from each other. So depending on whether you're holding the ball between your feet or your hands, you're really trying to hug in to activate those deep core muscles, trying to get your shoulders off the floor when you transfer the ball, and then slowly lower down. If this is bothering your back at all, then you could just stop and take a rest. But hopefully, if you can keep your back relatively flat to the floor, I mean, it's going to raise up a little bit as you lower down, but that'll help to work your core a little bit more, and squeezing the ball also helps. Good, one more. Nice. Now take your ball or your block or your blanket and place it underneath your sacrum, right around the waist or just below the waist, and just stretch your legs out. So we're stretching out the psoas, the hip flexors a little bit. And this should feel really good after all that hugging in. And then just float your legs up in the air and circle your ankles in both directions. Flex and extend your feet, invert and evert, and internally rotate and externally rotate. Just moving your ankles around. And let's place our feet back on the floor. Lift your hips, slide the ball out from underneath, and imagine you were squeezing the ball, even though it's not there, and start to slowly lower down, vertebrae by vertebrae, until your low back, and then the hips finally settle down. And hold the back of your thighs. We're going to rock back and forth, giving our back a little massage, and then we'll rock on up, coming into tabletop. And just let your spine move, let your body move in any direction that you want. Just getting into the feeling of the movement. And let's do some spinal waves. So starting from a neutral tabletop, so to curl your tailbone up, sink your lower ribs down, press your chest forward and lift your chin up, finding a nice arch in your back. Grip the mat with your hands, and then tuck the tailbone under to start to round your spine and ripple all the way up until your head is hanging. And then reverse it. So starting from the tailbone, coming up into an arched spine, and then rooting down. And just see if you can find a nice rhythm with your breath guiding you. And then walk your hands forward, walk your feet back, coming into forearm plank. So squeeze the legs again, just like we were doing a moment ago. Squeeze your arms in towards each other, forearms in towards each other. Press your hands into the floor and stretch out through your heels and forward through your chest. And find that feeling of hugging in, but also being able to relax here. Like, what can you do to relax? Maybe you lift the corners of your mouth a little bit. Maybe just think about something really pleasant. It gives you a feeling of peacefulness. And then lower your hips down. Slide your hands back. Curl up into your cobra. Open up through your chest. And lower back down again. Come onto your side. You can stretch your right arm out and rest your head on your arm. Bend your knees and then straighten your top leg, your left leg, and start to lift and lower. Think of leading from your heels. So your toes are like you've got this slight internal rotation in your hips, and the toes are kind of trying to point down instead of up. And then you want to keep forward so that actually place your hand on your hip so that you don't roll back. you're just lifting and lowering your leg. And you should feel like your glutes turning on, a lot of muscles in your legs working. Good. And now bring your right foot behind you and start to lift and lower the left leg up. Again, trying not to rock back, but just working the adductors again, the inner thigh muscles. Try not to arch your back, but just keep it in a more or less neutral position. Good. And then lower your leg down, step your left foot on top of the right inner thigh, as high up as you can. You could use your hand, but we're trying to work on gaining some muscle tone by just lifting up, like just placing it as high as you can and press down. And think of lifting your right leg up into your left leg, and then reach your left arm over your head so the palms come together. Flex your right foot and imagine that you were standing in tree pose. So keep actively pushing your right leg up into your left foot. Maybe do just a little bit of pelvic tilting just to find the place that feels the most secure for you. We'll just hold this a few more breaths. Nice. So bring your left hand down in front of you, bend your knees, and then place your left hand on your hip. And again, you don't want the hip to rock back and forth, but keep it a little bit forward, and keeping the inside edge of your feet together, just lift and lower up your top knee. So that would be the left knee. So again, we're just like activating our glutes. The glutes are so important for balance and just for having a healthy body. Because our bodies are made to move, and if we don't move them, then we can lose mobility, lose range of motion. Good. And then come back onto your belly. Bring your hands back behind your shoulders, press down through the top of your feet, and curl up into your cobra. Rise up. Lead with your chest to lower down. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So stretch your left arm out. Bend your knees and then straighten your right leg. And with the toes kind of pointing down, just lift and lower. Try not to rock on your hips. And you could even bring your hands to your hips so you are more aware of the movement and what's happening. Just a couple more breaths doing this upper top leg lifting. You want to actually begin to feel some kind of burn or like, I don't know, just in your muscles being activated, fired up. And now step your left foot behind you, right foot behind you, straighten the right leg. Your hand can be down so you can lean into your hand a little bit, and then lift and lower the bottom leg up. Again, trying to lead from your heel, so really targeting the inner thigh muscles as much as we can. But of course, everything is connected, so we're going to feel more than just the thigh muscles working. Just notice when you start, the sensation starts getting a little more intense. Good. And now step your right foot on the inner left thigh as high as you can get it. So I notice when I bring my heel down, my foot kind of slides open. And reach your right arm over so the palms are together. Flexing your left foot. Maybe a little bit of a posterior tilt. And just find your balance here. Just a couple more breaths here. And now bring your right hand down, bend your knees, and bring your right hand to your hip, and keeping the inner edges of the feet together, begin to lift and lower the top leg, the top knee. So at first it may not feel like much, but eventually you start to feel a little burn. Really those muscles working to lift and lower. And just a few more breaths here. Good. And then roll back onto your belly. So from your cobra, bend your left knee and start to bring your left foot behind you as you push yourself up. Maybe slide yourself back onto the mat and lower your left knee out to the left. Flex your right foot. Again, press your left foot into your right thigh, hug your right thigh in. And we'll just do some little cat-cow waves here. So we're in a tree pose position here, but we're seated. Just take your time exploring the motion. Motion is lotion. And stay with a more or less a flat back, but reach forward and try and square your hips a little bit so that you draw the right hip back a little bit, let the left hip come forward, bow over your leg, flex your right foot. Good. And then we're going to reach behind us and start to roll over, stacking your legs, coming back onto your belly. Again, cobra, rise up. Stay lifted and bend your right knee. Start to flip over onto your sit bones, onto your butt, and then open your right knee out to the side. Again, hug your legs in towards each other and find these nice spinal waves. Good. Come back to center. Again, we're going to twist back behind us. And then straighten both legs. Coming back onto your belly. One more cobra. Open up. And lower down. Tuck your toes. Press back. Downward facing dog. And start to roll forward into plank. And back into down dog. Keeping the arms strong. Get the spine moving. And stretch way back into your down dog. Keep the belly lifting. Maybe pedal out through your feet. And walk forward to your hands. And press into the tripod of your foot. So that would be the mount of the big toe, the mount of the pinky toe, and the center of the heel. When your foot is balanced and when the tripod is active, when the big toe is active and your legs are active, it's a lot easier to balance. So think of isometrically drawing your big toe mound towards your heel so the arches engage and lift. And pressing down into the earth, you can come up with a flat back or you can round up, come all the way up. And reach your arms up, press the palms together, and then bring your hands down by your heart center. Just pause in your Tadasana. Anchoring yourself to the earth. At the same time, lifting up toward the sky, just like a tree. Sends the roots down so it can rise up. We're just going to play with tree pose and just think of like some key points that can help us to balance a little bit better. So step into your left foot and then reach your right knee up. And instead of sinking down or shifting your hip out, think of hugging in, lifting up, pulling your foot up as high as you can. Bring the palms together. And then notice if one hip is forward more or one hip is back. See if you can hug in. Open your knee out to the side. Draw the tailbone down. And lift up evenly if you can through both hands. And then slowly lower down. And we'll start with the other side. So plugging into your right foot. Tailbone down, belly lifting. Start to reach your arms up as you pull your leg up. Place your foot on your inner thigh and square your hips. Square the shoulders. Reach your arms up. Tailbone down. And slowly lower down and release. So those little pointers of like not twisting one hip forward or not letting one shoulder round forward, hugging in so you're more balanced, that can help with the tree pose balance. So now we're going to start adding on some things. So stepping into your left foot. Inhale, bring your hands together in front of the heart, and then start to reach your hands up as you reach your leg up. Hug in and reach up. Reach up nice and tall. And then we're going to bring our hands down and sweep the right leg over to the left, coming into like a little curtsy. And then see if you can pull back up again, coming back up into your tree pose. Square the hips and lower back down. And just kind of shake things out a little bit, move the hips, do a little bouncing. So a tree, like it needs stability, but it also needs movement. So we want to try and combine those two energies. So now pressing into your right foot, and we'll start on the other side. So start to bend your left knee, bringing it up, reach your arms up, hug in, reach tall, and start to bring your hands down and slide your left leg over to the right, coming into a little curtsy squat. And then pull it back in again. Come on back up into your tree pose. Breathe up nice and tall. And lower back down. Now we're going to play with a horse stance. And we're going to just shift from side to side, going into eagle on one side and then coming back to horse and eagle on the other side. So bend your knees. Maybe just do a little pulsing first. And for this one, don't have the toes turn out too far. So they're more or less just not facing directly front, but kind of just a little bit off at an angle. Sink low, and then start to shift your weight into your right knee. Keep the knee bent. Wrap the left arm on top, the left knee on top, and find your like eagle pose. I'm not hooking the toes, just hugging the ankles in towards each other. And then start to release and step apart. Coming into cactus arms. And then shift your weight over to the left. Wrap the arms. Sink down nice and low. And step back out again. We'll do that one more time each side. Step out to the side. And come back into our horse stance. And let's just press your hands into your thighs and press your thighs into your hands and then twist over to the left. Come back to center and twist to the right. And just go back and forth a couple more times. Come back to center, straighten your legs. And now we're going to add on one more thing and then we'll put it all together in a little flow. So starting in Tadasana, root down through your legs, lift up through your heart, bring your hands together in front of your heart. And then as you inhale, reach your right leg up, reach your arms up, nice and tall. And then bring your hands down and sweep your right leg over to the left. You can gaze to the left. And now we're just going to step that right foot in a little bit, sit back and eagle-eyes the arms. So we're coming into like an eagle pose just by stepping into the front foot. And then we're going to step back into the front foot, unwrap the arms, stretch your right leg out again, and come back up into tree pose. And lower back down. So we'll play with the same thing on the other side. So inhale, reach your left knee up, reach up nice and tall. And then bend your elbow, reach your left leg over to the right. And step back in, sit back into your left foot, hug the arms together, hug the ankles together, sink down. And then we're just going to step forward, unravel, and stretch out to the side. And come back to center. All right, so now we're going to put all that together, and we're going to flow from the right side of our mat to the left side and back and forth a couple of times. So it'll start with the tree pose, go into that curtsy squat, into eagle pose, stepping out into goddess pose, and then we're going to have to reverse everything as we go to the other side. So we go into eagle, then curtsy, and then tree pose. So it actually took me a long time to get smooth with this, so practice and it gets a little easier. But just start with your hands together in prayer. Find your Tadasana, mountain pose, relax the shoulders. Then inhale, reach your arms up, pull your leg up, squeeze in. And then exhale, bring your hands down, sweep your right leg over to the left. And step your foot in, sit back into your heels, wrap your arms. Hug the ankles in, and then we'll unwrap and step out into goddess pose, horse stance. Then we're going to shift the weight over to the left foot, wrap the arms, wrap the legs, sink down, but try and sit up tall. And step into your front foot, unwrap the arms, stretch your left leg over to the right, and come back up, pull your leg up into tree pose. Grow nice and tall. Good, and now let's come down, let's see if we can work back over to the right again. So stretch your left leg over to the right, and step it in a little bit, sit back, wrap the arms, wrap the legs, and step out into your goddess pose, and then back in to your eagle, unwrap, stretch out to the side, and come on back up. For tree pose, and lower down. Just close your eyes and visualize the movement. So our brain is has a really important part in how we move and how we balance and what our bodies can do. And we're constantly sending messages from the body to the brain, from the brain to the body. But actually the body sends more. Supposedly the body sends 80% of the messages up to the brain, and the brain sends like 20% down to the body. So our body movement can really affect our brain. So let's try that again. So hands together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach your right knee up, reach your arms up, lift up nice and tall. And bend your arms, stretch your right leg over to the left. Step back in, eagle-eyes your arms and your legs, hug in, and open up. Goddess pose, sink down. And from goddess pose, shift your weight over into your left leg, wrap the arms, coming into that eagle position. Sink down, but lift up at the same time. Then place your right foot down, unwrap your arms, stretch your left leg over to the right, and come on back up into your tree pose. Reach up. And then bend the arms down, reach the left leg over to the right, step it back in, sit back. Like you were sitting in a chair, wrapping the arms, wrapping the legs. Then open up into horse and come into eagle. Step forward, reach across to curtsy, and come on back up. Tree pose, lift up high, and lower down. All right, let's try that one more time. And notice if it's feeling a little bit more fluid, a little bit more graceful. It's still a little tricky for me. So Starting in Tadasana with your hands in prayer position. Step into your left foot, inhale, reach the right knee up, open up the hip, reach up nice and tall. And bring the hands down, stretch your right leg over to the left. And bring your knees together, sit back, wrap your arms. Lift your chest up a little bit. Woo. And step out to the side, coming back into Goddess. And over to the left for Eagle. Step forward, unwrap, stretch your left leg to the right. And come on back up into tree pose. Good. Then bring your arms down, stretch your left foot over to the right, sink low, and step back in, Eagle. And step out to Goddess. Come back together into your Eagle, sink down. Step forward, unwrap, curtsy, and back up to tree pose. Hug in, reach up. Nice, and lower down. And let's just do a little bit of swinging here. So just shift your weight from side to side. And then just let your arms float, bending the knees, sweeping the arms wide. And then step forward and come into a squat. Press your elbows onto your knees, hug your knees in towards your elbows, lift up nice and tall. And slowly lower your hips down. Come back onto your back and hug your knees into your chest. Circle. And plant your feet down, open your arms out, nice and wide. Shift your hips to the right. Straighten your left leg on the ground and your right leg up in the air. And take your left hand to the outside of your right leg, wherever it will reach, and bring your leg across as you turn your head to the right. Like opening up out through your hip, maybe a little external rotation here to create some space. And you're welcome to bend your left knee, reach for your foot with your right hand, or keep your legs straight. We'll just stay here for a couple of breaths. Notice how it feels to be supported on your whole back. And release that left foot if you're holding it. Bring your right hip back down to the ground. Center your hips on the mat and just start to give your calf, your hamstrings a little massage. You can roll up your leg and then down the front and up the sides. Maybe give your foot a little massage. And then slowly float your right leg down. Relax for a breath or two, just to feel the sensation of how that movement, what it created in your right leg. Now shift your hips over to the left, bring your left leg up, open your arms out, take your right hand across, and bring your left leg over to the right as you turn your head to the left. You always have the option to bend the right knee, grab a hold of your foot, and make the little minor adjustments that are going to help you feel like comfortable and enjoying this pose, enjoying the sensations. So that might mean to let your left leg go a little bit lower, to come out of the stretch a little bit. Or you might find you want to go a little deeper. It's up to you. Just a few more breaths here. Release your right foot if you're holding it. Bring your left hip back down. Center your hips. And again, a little massage on your calves, on your hamstrings. And then just massaging up the back of your leg, down the front, up the sides. And then maybe massage the foot a little bit. Good. And slowly lower your leg all the way down. And we'll just stay here for a little bit in a very short savasana. Let your toes just flop open. Let your back relax into the floor. And you're welcome to stay here much longer if you have the time. But after that, relatively hard work, all that balance that we were doing, it can feel really good to relax. We always want to balance out effort with ease. So again, you can stay here a little longer, or you can stretch your arms over your head, reach out through your fingers and your toes. Any kind of movement here that you want to do. And just make your way up to a comfortable seat. Thank you so much for joining me here. I appreciate your time and your energy and your focus, and I hope that you had fun dancing between tree to tree, and I hope that you gained maybe more of a sense of how to move, like when you're balancing, and how to work with your breath, and just like your focus has a lot to do with how you can move through time and space. So I would love it if you would leave me a comment below, if you would share this with your friends, and hope to see you again soon. Bye.